Hey, welcome back. You are now tapped into yet another episode of Trek. If this is your first time here, what we like to do is take a look at the most interesting and creepy videos from all across the internet and kind of evaluate for ourselves whether these are fact or fake. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it.
How beautiful the weather is today, and the view is incredible. Oh my God, what happened?
Hey, I'm the backwards dude, and I can talk in reverse. This app will take anything I say and reverse it. So what do you want me to say?
Say I'm not 100 bees working together. No way.
I'm not 100 bees working together.
What?
Yeah.
How does your brain work?
People are amazed when I tell them I can talk backwards and completely blown away when I do it.
Yo.
7 years ago.
August reading the best net. Rocks rof. 7 years ago.
Whoa, that is amazing.
People give me requests for really hard words. Here's an example. Anti-disestablishmentarianism. Anti-disestablishmentarianism. One thing that people like to challenge me to say is, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood backwards? And that is, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Not only can I read backwards and talk backwards, but I can also sing backwards, and that really throws people for a loop. The summer wind came blowing in from
either time travel is impossible or humanity is impossible. And by that I mean, if time travel is possible, then eventually someone invents it. It costs billions of dollars to use it, but eventually if you keep going farther and farther in the future, like everything else technological, it gets cheaper and cheaper, and eventually it's accessible to everyone. And therefore we should see all around us like tour buses of people from the future, because
the UFOs.
Yeah, because eventually it becomes that cheap. So the fact that there are no tour buses from the future tells us either that time travel is not possible or that we wipe ourselves out before it's invented.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, I don't think people are going to be super loud about it either. You know what I mean? I don't think people are just going to be, wearing a big sign on their t-shirt saying, hey, I'm from the future or from the past. But let me know what you think.
This is really big and terrifying news. Elon Musk just dropped a chilling take on where humanity is headed. He says right now we're sitting front row to the big bang of intelligence, watching artificial intelligence explode in power, evolve, and reshape everything. And here's what hit hard. Elon says we have to ask ourselves, are we living in a Gene Roddenberry future like Star Trek, where tech brings progress and peace? Or are we heading for a James Cameron future like Terminator, where tech spirals into war, destruction, and collapse? Even Elon admits there's still a real risk of annihilation. And the worst thing we can do right now is get complacent, acting like everything's just going to turn out fine. Because here's the truth. This isn't just about cool gadgets or smart machines. We are living in the moment that could reshape or erase humanity itself. Elon's warning us. The only question left is, are we listening?
In 2024, something strange was seen in the skies over Missouri. Not a classic saucer, not a metallic orb. This one looked kind of alive. Some described it as pulsing, organic, changing shape as it moved slowly through the sky. Some called it a sky jellyfish. Others said it looked like it was breathing. If it wasn't a machine, what was it? Fortean wins. Not all visitors are made of metal.
Hey, that was either a UFO hidden in plain sight or the ugliest drone that you or I have ever seen. Let me know what you think, though.
Ariana Grande might have accidentally revealed the secrets about celebrities dyeing their hair blonde.
Oh, is it call for help?
Close.
Oh, okay.
Close.
Yeah?
Yo, usually when people start blowing up, they
go
dye
blonde.
their hair blonde.
Yeah.
Ariana Grande, she was actually on the red carpet and she kind of made a joke. I don't remember.
You know what?
They did the Brighter Days memory erasure treatment to me, so I'm having trouble remembering the details. They're foggy.
What she's referencing is her music video. People are speculating in this video she's trying to reveal the truth about dyeing your hair blonde. Now, that's a callback to a Jim Carrey movie. I forgot what it's called. But in the beginning of the video, she has brown hair. Yeah. Theory is the blonde hair isn't them dyeing their hair blonde. It's a result of going through the procedure. When you dunk your head into the liquid, they go through the memory erasure, or they go through the brainwashing. It changes the color of your hair.
What?
That's his theory.
Have you guys ever seen these photos of what washed up on the shore straight off the coast of St. Augustine?
No.
In the late 1800s, this like unidentified creature thing washed up on the shore. It's like 18 feet long, but what's super interesting is they said it had 7 legs and a tail. But as like research has continued on this creature, they're surmising it wasn't a tail, it was the 8th appendage. And most of the octopus-like arms had been cut pretty short. You know, but when you think about some of the earliest stories of creatures like this, or like the pirate era.
Kraken.
Yeah, they're saying because of the size of this thing, and if it were an actual octopus, the tentacles could have been like 100-foot long.
Oh.
Because they're like, you can see them in the photos, but they're like this big around at the nubs. They took samples and they compared it to octopus, and they're calling it a giant octopus. That's what it is.
Whoa.
But yeah, this is right off the coast, right off St. Augustine. So all those pictures we see of pirates and stuff, that is real. And for some reason, we don't know about it.
Oh my gosh.
Where's the rest of those suckers?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of the ocean that we haven't explored yet. So there might be a ton of giant squids that we haven't seen yet. And that specific squid just happened to escape being lunchtime from a giant shark. You know, who knows?
This year's already interesting. Yeah, do you want a 6-figure job helping NASA defend Earth from alien contamination? The job could be yours. 6 figures to report to the Office of Planetary Protection, and I'm not making this up.
Now let me see which one of the iTrack fam is going to sign up to fight aliens. Go ahead, let me know in the comments, man, because I doubt that anybody's down for that.
When I'm in Miami, I need anything, and I mean anything. We can't even discuss it, the things that this man is capable of bringing to you, but believe me, he has Miami on lock. But this is the love affair, baby. This is the love affair, baby.
Eddie and Ross and Kevin, they're all gay.
DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, and P. Diddy? Yeah. They're all gay?
Yeah.
Well, the robots have arrived, at least in Pasadena, California. That's where the world's first ever fully autonomous AI-powered restaurant has opened, complete with burger flipping bots. We sent CBS's Joy Benedict on a taste test.
Flippy the chef makes Spud spectacular. This automated grill gives the meat its sizzle as this restaurant goes robotic.
For this burger, it would take about 120 seconds.
Cali Express by Flippy is the world's first AI-powered eatery. There's new technology outside the kitchen, too.
A cheeseburger.
Order.
Can anybody else see what's happening? Within the next couple of years, nobody's gonna have a job. In this video, in the comment section of the video, and a lot of people that are posting it, everybody's celebrating and they're saying, oh, finally, our orders aren't gonna be wrong. Dude, they're making robots for everything. Your blue collar job's gonna be gone too. Your white collar job, those are gonna be gone with AI. There's gonna be no jobs. Nobody's gonna be able to work. This is the beast system rising. Like, pretty soon, they're gonna tell everybody nobody's gonna be able to work. You gotta take a certain mark and you gotta pledge your allegiance to this certain system that's gonna come into place that the Bible talks about.
No man knows the day or the hour, so there's really no need to stress out about, you know, when, where, or why. You know what I mean? You just got to make sure all your affairs are in order. That's really the key.
Ask 100 married women, if you could have a second husband for only one purpose, what would it be? Something like 70% said just for sex.
Whoa, damn.
A second husband for only one purpose.
Just for getting stuffed.
That's rough. Just sex.
That's a fucking wake-up call for a lot of dudes out there.
A lot of guys.
Let's end on that.
A membrane, you see, that can slide across. These aren't contacts. You can come over here in the light. This is my eye. You can see it's just a slight variation of color that I'm able to toggle back and forth. But that's basically what we have going on. I know it's kind of weird for some people to check out, but you'll notice those changes. So what have we done? Went to the VA, went to specialists. I put a cry out here on TikTok. It seems that I'm not the only person that has some weird eyes going on like this. So if you are out there and you have something like this going on, let me know.
I'm so proud of him. See, y'all gotta understand, he came to my office in this fly-ass neon suit. He went from neon suits to designing Chanel, to having his own hotels, to beauty, to everything he stands for as a black king, god, musical producer, visionary, genius, philanthropist, and now hotel owner.
Thank you, bro.
Of the Good Time Hotel.
Thank you, bro.
And also, I just want to give y'all, let y'all in on some secret breaking news. He's here too. Yeah.
And he said, Ross, I know this is demonic. We shouldn't be having anything to do with it. It has no control systems, no control surfaces, no visible propulsion system. No dials, no levers, no buttons. It's a shell. It's operated by consciousness.
Hybrid agenda, and if there is, what is it?
Yeah, so there are many, many hybrid agendas. Again, as I was mentioning, there are darker, let's say draconian, reptilian kind of agendas. And the purpose of them are the destruction and fragmentation of the soul. When a soul is fractalized, it becomes entangled in a space, in a dimension. And so that means that it has to keep coming back. That's what the reincarnation cycle is about. We essentially keep reincarnating in loops, and we keep repeating things. And for some of us, we've been repeating in loops for centuries. We have lives and lives that are condensed into maybe this one dimension for a long time. And the key is that when the human wakes up consciousness, they can break those cycles, those patterns. So the hybridization program functions in the same way. It is the sustainability of the interdimensional matrix. And the interdimensional matrix is functioning within the 13-dimensional layers of this realm, 13 dimensions, from which all of these species that we talk about, from the draconians to the Arcturians to the light beings to the highest dimensional level, all of those races are managing different kinds of exchange of consciousness in order to fractalize and utilize soul core life force. So this hybridization program that is inverted is terrestrial. There is a terrestrial program that is managed by the Biological Warfare Department here in
Governments,
yeah,
shadow governments.
Exactly. And this shadow government that manages these hybridization programs are primarily focused on cloning. They also utilize our DNA in order to create clones. And the purpose of that is in order to create alternate worlds that continue to sustain life force for the more parasitic systems in our reality. They feed off of clones, which are in unconscious states, beings that are on purpose deactivated DNA. And what happens when you deactivate DNA? You become a programmable organism that you can program and you can bring into reincarnation cycle as many times as you want until the organism somehow wakes up consciousness. And we essentially are whatever generation of those programs.
So we're clones.
Mythological creatures in the Bible. How come they never taught me this in school? 2 Samuel chapter 23 verse 20 says that a warrior of God called Benaiah killed 2 lion men of Moab. The Hebrew word here for lion men is Ario, and the suffix El at the end means that they are gods. These half lion, half human beings have been recorded in other passages in the Bible and in other ancient texts. 1 Chronicles chapter 12 verse 8 says that warriors from the Gadite tribe joined King David in his army. These beings were described as being lion-like men with supernatural powers. The word Ariel is not only attributed to these half lion, half human beings in the Bible, it is also attributed to these beings in other ancient texts like the Nag Hammadi. The Nag Hammadi was an ancient Gnostic text that speaks of an ancient Gnostic deity called Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth was described as being a Ariel, and he was a god-like lion deity. So according to the original Hebrew of the Bible, we can conclude that the Bible is talking about a mythical like lion-human hybrid creature.
What if I told you vampires are actually real? In The Dragon Legacy, Nicholas Nevere asserts that vampires were real entities whose blood-drinking practices were aimed towards maintaining their superhuman abilities. He traces the origins of vampirism to the sacred Ubaid race, who later founded the Anunnaki religion of the Sumerians, and whose ancestors are identified as the Anunnaki gods themselves. Central to these cultures was the rite of the vampire, a tantric hermetic royal rite involving the consumption of blood or essences, which was believed to enhance intelligence, promote longevity, and increase psychic abilities. Blood was also referred to as, quote, starfire, due to their belief that blood draws in the essences of the stars, which can then be consumed to obtain superhuman and psychic powers. These vampires are said to have specific genetic adaptations that specifically allow them to harness the powers of consumed blood. It is also said that regular engagement in these blood-drinking practices could enhance your lifespan by over 33%. Other occult researchers suggest that both menstrual and blood were considered crucial in creating the Philosopher's Stone that could grant eternal life and access to higher metaphysical realms. Examples of royal vampirism include Elizabeth Bathory, the quote blood countess, who allegedly bathed in blood to retain her youth, as well as Gilles de Rais, a French nobleman who was said to have sacrificed in his alchemical quest for power and immortality. Follow me for more hidden knowledge.
With all that being said, if you're not a vampire, don't even think about it, because drinking any kind of blood will damage you and bad.
Does this video prove that Elon Musk was high in front of President Trump? It shows the world's richest man at a dinner party at Mar-a-Lago doing something baffling, balancing a fork and 2 spoons on one finger. That woman next to him watching on is Siobhan Gillis, the mother of 4 of his children. In another video taken that night, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stops by to chat, but Elon ignores her, captivated by his spoons.
Elon, what the hell are you doing?
It happened in March, but resurfaced on social media after a New York Times article last week claimed Musk juggled drugs and family drama on the campaign trail. He was taking so much ketamine that it was affecting his bladder. This is what drugs do to your brain, goes one snarky reaction to the video. Even the Secret Service looks embarrassed, goes another. Elon is firing back. I'm not on ketamine for blank's sake. I do not take drugs. The New York Times is lying. I tried prescription ketamine a few years ago. It helps with dark periods, but I haven't taken it since.
I don't know, y'all. It seemed like he just might have been really locked in. I don't think you can be doing drugs and bouncing these spoons and forks on your pinky, but if you know something I don't, let me know.
We propose that a photon is not an object, but a timeless event. It represents a causal bridge between 2 state changes in the mass-bound world. This is not a particle traveling through space, but a massless instruction linking 2 massful configurations. A photon does not occupy time. It defines a relationship between mass-based events that do.
You're not supposed to go out and try to change anyone. Those who are already enlightened, they're already advanced, they realize what's happening now, they're already there. You don't have to worry about it. The other ones that are so deep into negativity, we're not going to be able to make a difference anyway. They have to find their own way. Man has destroyed civilizations down through time, and each time it's usually with the the bad use of their mind, the misuse of the powers of their mind. And each time, they'd start all over again from the beginning and create a totally new civilization, a new world. This is part of the developing of our psychic powers, bringing that back, changing this because we're going to carry it on instead of destroying the world and starting all over again. That's why we're having all this chaos and problems right now as the two try to decide and separate and shift. And there's many souls that are coming in right now to be here for it. They volunteered to come. The call went out throughout the universe, volunteers to come and help. They have to be souls that are pure, that have not known violence, have no karma to repay, to come in and help raise the consciousness of those who are here. And these people don't know they're one of these. I find it out in my work, but they have no idea on the conscious level they are one of these who have volunteered to come and to use their energy to help raise the consciousness of the world.
When Christopher Columbus first got to America, he actually talked about a race of dog-headed people being here.
Really? I didn't learn that in history class.
His original writings went missing. His son wrote down some of the stuff that he wrote, and then that writing was actually considered banned or something. They don't want you to know what he wrote. Type in Hernan Cortez giants. He says straight up in his quote that there is the posterity of giants they believe to exist here. He said they brought him the leg bone of one, which was from the hip to the knee. And he said, I measured myself against it and it was as tall as I am.
Jeez.
Though I am a man of reasonable height, he said, this must assuredly be giants in the land. Basically, they get here and there was dog-headed people and there was giants. They got here and just like killed them. Type in any early explorer giants or dog-headed people or something. You're gonna find some writings. You're gonna be like, why didn't they teach us this in school? Or how about it really existed and they just don't want you to know about it because it points to the Bible. Like it validates that God is true. Everything that we know about the biblical text is not what we're assuming.
I mean, even if you do a little bit of research, you know that the Nephilim and the giants, they do exist, you know, but I definitely wouldn't take it from Christopher Columbus. Boy, you know he's cap.
Still working?
Said aliens are on the far side of the moon and they are not our friends. It's a very interesting story. Ingo Swann, very interesting cat.
So what took these photographs?
The moon surveyor, lunar surveyor, satellite.
And none of that stuff's ever been released?
Oh, they released a lot of images from the far side, but they release what they release. That's why we know there's fewer impacts on the far side, because we've seen those images.
But there's no images of these domes or whatever?
No. I've seen some that maybe are faked, that look pretty compelling. I forget what episode I just showed them in, but when I found them, it was mind-blowing. And I can't find them again for some reason. Like I wanted them for another episode, and I can't find the photos, which is always suspicious to me. It's like suddenly the thing is blurry off of Malibu. It's like you just can't find the stuff. But my gut tells me something's going on up there. Someone's aware of it. I'm dying to know what it is.
It would be unbelievable if Mars was the first planet that had life before Earth was capable of supporting life. It reached a very high level of sophistication and then started seeding Earth.
Right. Panspermia theory.
Yeah.
I believe we have at least one rock from Mars that just landed here. I think we have one of those. So for maybe a giant impact or something, threw some of Mars over here.
But the idea, I think, is that their atmosphere was deteriorating or that they were getting further and further from the sun.
Their magnetic field was weakening, strips away the atmosphere.
And so this would be the thing. If you were a super advanced civilization, the race would get so advanced that you could leave your planet.
Yes.
And that's the only way you're going to survive, because eventually your planet is going to move over millions of years further and further away from the sun, not able to inhabit life anymore.
Right. So maybe send your DNA or whatever to the third rock.
Or Anunnaki.
That's
the good one.
Yeah, they show up everywhere.
That's the ultimate one.
That is the big one. The Anunnaki's the big one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's one that makes you go, oh.
Because it shows up everywhere. It shows up in the Bible. It shows up in the Mahabharata. It shows up in ancient Chinese literature. It shows up everywhere. Not always called the Anunnaki, but the Anunnaki, and then they have their servile species that could be the Nephilim, could be the giants, and then they take these primitive humans, give them just enough intelligence to mine the gold. It's part of the lore.
To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Everywhere you turn, there's a voice telling you who you should be, what to wear, what to think, what success must look like. And so you bend quietly, subtly, until you no longer recognize the shape you once were. The world is loud. It demands you to fit in. But the soul only whispers. And if you do not listen, you will spend your life performing, not living. To be yourself in such a world, to speak with your own voice, to live by your own rhythm, that is no small rebellion. That is greatness.
Here are some animals that are much more dangerous than society wants you to believe. Snails. Freshwater garias are estimated to erase about 200,000 names from the census every trip around the sun, thanks to parasites that can threaten your entire way of life. Not to mention the cone snails, one of the most venomous animals alive, and since they use a combination of up to 50 different toxins and every snail has a different combination, there is no antidote if you get stung. Squirrels. Since these tree rats insist on chewing on anything that isn't nailed down, house inspectors estimate that about 20% of house fires in the US are caused by these buck-toothed bastards biting on electrical wires. Thousands of houses get turned into ashtrays by them a year, and since we can't always trace it back to them, we have no way of knowing just how high their body count really is. Bees. But not just any bees. Africanized honeybees. They're more homicidal than their European cousins, and they've been known to chase people for up to half a mile, all while delivering 10 times the stings. If you try to duck the smoke by jumping into water, these merc flies have been known to wait just above the surface for you to come up. They flatlined about 1,000 people, along with dogs and horses too. There's so many ways nature can airdrop you to gods recently deleted that I actually wrote a book about it. Not for real, I wrote a book. This is real. It's gonna be that link right there. Get you a copy.
Hey, check out my boy's book, man. He does put work into these videos, and he definitely gives some good information, man, and very entertaining.
It's unknowable.
What if the singularity's already happened and they're the ones that are running the whole show already, and Elon's just one of the minions trying to integrate everybody with the brain chips and turn this thing biological and maybe create an army and manipulate Google, and maybe it's all being run by AI right now. We just don't even fucking know it.
Well, that's not impossible, and that would be hard for us to know.
Dark art of reading people. 1. If a stranger locks eyes with you for too long, it's rarely innocent. It's dominance, or worse, a challenge. 2. They place their phone face down. Psychologists say it's often a subtle sign of secrecy. They're hiding something, even if it's just their attention. 3. Ask someone what they're thinking while they're zoned out. If their hand drifts near their brow or nose, they're lying. The body betrays what words conceal. 4. Ever seen a group laugh? Watch closely. People instinctively glance at the one they're most attracted to, even if they don't realize it. 5. Fist on the table and a shout? That's real anger. But if the fist comes first, followed by a pause, then yelling, that's a performance. They're gauging your reaction. 6. Excessive blinking isn't just nerves, it's judgment. You're being evaluated whether you ask for it or not. Watch. Listen. Most people tell the truth, just not with their words. Now listen carefully. If you want to learn dark psychology deeply, then my book link is in bio, and follow Mind Under Glass to become the most powerful person.
Now, you know I was going to leave you with something to hold on to, right? Yeah, those are gems.
Here's a tactic that all intelligence operatives learn, and it's called elicitation. You use statements instead of questions to get the most powerful information from other people. When a person's being asked a question, it raises a little door in the brain that says, I need to be careful about the answer. If you're responding to a statement, your brain does not have that little security guard that comes out. And so as a light example, let's just imagine you and me took an Uber to get here. And let's imagine you and me we're going to take an Uber back after this. We get into that Uber and I say, I just read online that Uber drivers were rated the #1 job satisfaction of all the jobs in the country. So that starts a conversation. And then he says, no, it's really bad. You know, I do this, and they take the money and this. And then I do disbelief. This is another technique. Disbelief says, no way. There's no way that company would treat you like that. He goes, oh yeah, you will never guess what happened just a couple of weeks ago. And then he just kind of goes into this deep story that he would never tell another client. Who does he tell these stories to? Friends. I've made his brain start behaving in friend mode, and I haven't even asked any questions yet.
1. If you're getting ready to leave the house and you start dropping things out of nowhere, don't go. Your spirit knows something your body doesn't. 2. If you're in public and become fixated on something for no reason, leave. You're being pulled, not drawn. 3. If you're walking alone and suddenly feel watched, don't keep walking. Run, even if it feels silly. 4. If someone offers you food in a dream, cleanse the moment you wake up. Not everything feeding you is nourishing you. 5. If your reflection ever lags behind your movement in a dream or in a mirror, that's not you. Back away. 6. If you walk into a room and forget why you came, leave, then come back. Something may have stepped in your place. 7. If someone from your past shows up in a dream, smiling, check your energy. Not every visitor is friendly. 8. If the wind moves strong but nothing around you shifts, cover yourself. Something is passing through and it sees you. 9. If your left ear rings and the air feels heavy, don't speak. Just listen. You're not alone. 10. If you smell flowers, perfume, or smoke and no one else does, don't follow it. Someone or something is watching you remember them.
The following footage is actually coming out of Temumua, Veracruz, Mexico. Dozens of witnesses captured an unidentified being emerging from on top of the tree, and they have no explanation as to what it is or who it is or why they are up there. Take a look at this footage, comment below, tell me what you think this could be.
Hey, it looked like some kind of bruja, right? Kind of witch. Let me know what you think.
Lucy, girl, smile if you're alive.
This is gonna keep you up while you sleep tonight. The hollow moon theory. Our moon really doesn't make sense when you look at the facts. Like, it shouldn't exist. The moon is about 25% of Earth's size, the biggest moon to planet ratio of our entire solar system. Pluto's not a planet, that doesn't count. That's 72 times larger than the expected average moon to planet ratio of our solar system. Moons are just not supposed to be this big relative to their home planet, but sure, maybe we got lucky. Despite this, the moon is only 1% of Earth's mass. 1%, meaning it is way lighter than it's expected to be, and we really don't even know why. Unless, of course, the moon is either extremely porous like a sponge or a hollow shell. When looking at this data, NASA's own Dr. Gordon McDonald even said himself it would seem that the moon is more like a hollow than a homogeneous sphere. But oh, that's just the tip, and we ain't stopping. Our moon's orbit is way closer than that of any of the other over 400 moons in our solar system, and also has a near perfectly circular orbital path. We don't see this on any other planet, which all have moons with wildly eccentric orbits. Our moon also coincidentally appears as the exact same size as the sun in our sky. Despite our sun having a diameter 400 times larger than the moon just so happens to be exactly 400 times closer to us, defying all odds of randomness, but is officially deemed just a cosmic coincidence. The moon also happens to be tidally locked with our planet, meaning its rotational period is the same as its orbital period around the Earth, which is why the same side is always facing us. This one is not so much a coincidence as as tidally locked moons are actually fairly common in our solar system. But it would also be the perfect excuse for the moon to always look the same in our sky and for us to never see what's on the other side, like an all-seeing eye that never ceases surveillance of our planet. We don't even know for sure how our moon even got there in the first place. The most common explanation is that the early Earth collided with a massive protoplanet called Theia about 4.5 billion years ago, which was thought to be roughly the size of Mars, and the impact caused the resulting debris to coalesce and eventually form the moon. This is known as the giant impact theory. There's also the fission hypothesis, where an early molten Earth was spinning so fast that a part of it got ejected out into space and became the moon. The capture theory, implying the moon just drifted by Earth and was captured by its gravity. And the accretion theory, suggesting that as the early Earth was forming in its accretion disk, a part of that disk clumped together to become the moon. But when studying rock samples from the surface of the moon, we find out that none of these theories quite make any sense, with other NASA scientists like Dr. Robin Brett further quoted as saying, "It seems much easier to explain the non-existence of the moon than its existence. Like on Earth, the newest rocks are on the surface, and the deeper we go, the older the rocks get, as we would naturally expect to be the case. On the moon, it's the other way around. Soil samples from the moon confirm that older rocks are on the surface, and they get younger the deeper we go. The only time we ever see this inverse relationship of rock layer depth to rock age on Earth is through human interaction, like drilling, digging holes, and boring tunnels. Did the same thing happen on the moon? If the moon was hollowed out from the inside, this older inner rock would be brought up to the surface, and this observation would make sense. The lunar crust is also thinner on the side of the moon facing the Earth and thicker on the dark side of the moon, and researchers still have no idea why. The moon doesn't have a magnetic field, much the same as other planets' moons, but strangely, moon rock samples are strongly magnetized. Craters on the moon are all virtually the same depth, no matter how big or small they are. On Earth, bigger craters naturally go much deeper than smaller ones, as the impact was greater. Not on the moon, almost like there's a solid layer underneath preventing the crater from going too deep. Moon rocks are also much older than the oldest rocks on Earth by millions of years, blowing the fission hypothesis and accretion theory out of the water. The moon contains traces of uranium-236, a radioactive isotope that doesn't occur naturally on Earth, but rather through the highly complicated scientific process of nuclear fission, something that only an intelligent species is capable of. Zirconium, chromium, and titanium are all relatively rare Earth metals, but are somehow quite abundant on the moon. Those three elements are also some of the most durable and corrosive resistant that we know of, perfect for building a massive structure. And they've even done quantifiable experiments that tell us that's exactly what the moon might be. When Apollo 12 was leaving the moon's orbit, they intentionally dropped their lunar lander down to the surface. When it crashed, seismic measurements showed that the moon reverberated and rang like a bell for an hour. They did not expect this. Only hollow objects are expected to reverb like this, especially with something as small as a lunar lander. During Apollo 13, they tested that again with a much larger object, dropping a spent Saturn V booster rocket that impacted the lunar surface. This time, the moon rang for 3 hours, with vibrations going as deep as 32 kilometers beneath the surface, and even got faster the deeper they got. This doesn't happen on Earth, or even solid objects for that matter, and again is only expected to occur on something hollow.
So basically what he's saying is, don't believe what they're telling you about the moon because it doesn't particularly make sense. And I definitely agree, but let me know what you think.
Adam and Eve ate from the tree of what?
The knowledge of good and evil.
Right. So before they ate from that tree, they didn't have an understanding of good and evil, did they?
But they were given the command not to eat from that tree.
So, see, here's the thing. I just asked a very specific question that's going to expose the flaw in your thinking, and instead of answering it, you answered a different question. So here we go. Before they ate from the tree, did they know right from wrong?
No.
Okay, if they didn't know right from wrong, how could they possibly know that it was wrong to disobey God and eat from that tree?
If I tell my child not to do something.
I'm sorry, Marjorie, your child already knows right from wrong. Adam and Eve did not know right from wrong. How can you punish someone for doing something wrong if they didn't know it was wrong?
Yeah, just let that marinate in your spirit.
I never said why I left. I left because she literally beat the shit out of me. Like when in the hospital at UCLA.
Damn.
She walked up and she kicked me, she slapped me, and she said, "This is your fault. You should have let me die like Marilyn." And she had tried to unalive herself right before that, and I stopped her. She tried to jump out of the car.
Did she apologize later?
No. And that was the issue. Because, you know, look, when I said I wanted to write a book, it had nothing to do with her. You know what I'm saying? It was about my career. She sent me a letter from her lawyer. And I'm like, what? Like, you didn't call me yourself and just be like, You know what I mean? And look, there's been a lot of times where I've done a lot of things for a lot of people and made a lot of people a lot of money.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they were an asshole in return. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, with me, a lot of times, I'm like a cheat code. And no one wants to admit that they used the cheat code because it fucks with their narrative of I did everything myself.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. I'm not bitter about it. I'm not angry about it. I'm just like, you know, if that's the type of person you are, God bless you.
He says he's not bitter. He says he's not angry. But you're letting the world know that Mariah Carey put them paws on you. For what?
Trump is building a database to spy on every single American, and he tapped Palantir to do it, a CIA-funded tech company co-founded by tech billionaire and Republican donor Peter Thiel. In 2010, Thiel shared his real motivations out loud.
We could never win an election because we were in such a small minority that maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through a technological means.
Thiel knows his ideology could never win an election because he's skeptical of democracy, believes women shouldn't vote, wrote a book criticizing multiculturalism and diversity, and has defended. What he's arguing is that technology can bypass the need for majority support. That tech is Palantir. The perfect opportunity for Thiel to enact his plan came when Trump enlisted Palantir to build the most expansive surveillance infrastructure in US history. It would integrate sensitive records from all government agencies and use AI to profile behavior and identify individuals deemed risky by the system, giving the government more power than ever. The Trump admin claims more data could help them improve public safety and detect fraud, but we all know that's not what would happen. Former Palantir employees have warned that a centralized system like that could be used to surveil, target, and silence anyone the government disagrees with. It could also be used to influence public opinion. Remember Cambridge Analytica, the company that used data to build psychological profiles on Americans so they could manipulate their voting behavior during the 2016 election? Yeah, it would be like that, but on an even bigger scale. Even MAGA feels betrayed by this move. Nick Fuentes, a far-right Trump supporter, said, seriously, if Palantir isn't the deep state, then what is? We have to come together to stop this drastic expansion of government control and power.
Now, I ain't gonna lie, that sounds a bit more than spooky. That sounds actually downright scary, man. I mean, eyes on everything that we do, that's a little much. Let me know what you think.
Bro, if the sun set way over there, what is this? Like, what is that? What is it? You can tell it's red because the cloud over top of it, you can see it. What is that, bro? And the sun don't even go over that far because I've been seeing the sun earlier and it wasn't in that position. It was way past that. What is that, bro? Like, bro, they just right there. I ain't scared. I don't live in fear. Shoot. What is that, though? If the sun set over there, what is that?
Check that out up there, y'all. Check that out. Come on. You see that? And I can't even see. It says AL 5924 over there. And then on this side it says 1924. This is Springfield, Massachusetts. Springfield Conservatory of the Arts. Bro, that's straight. Look at that. Freemason Square right up in there. Double-headed eagle. A sword. How wild's that, bro? How wild is that? Wicked. Wicked wild. Wicked wild. Wicked. This is the cornerstone right here. Check this out. AL 5924. The stone was laid on St. John's Day, June. All right, V's and U's used to be switched out. V's and U's, June 80, 1924.
Researchers are now suggesting aliens could actually be living among us disguised as humans. Not kidding. Montana Technical University professor Dr. Michael P. Masters was part of that study, and he joins us right now. Michael, good morning to you.
Morning. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to have you. Professor, wasn't that the ending of, I think it was Men in Black, the movie, where at the end they had the screen full of people who were, or rather aliens, living amongst us?
It's been a while since I've seen that one, but it's certainly a possibility. The subject does make its way into a lot of pop culture, so it's certainly possible.
So, Doctor, I mean,
what is the chances of this? I mean, it seems like every year we have some type of story that it could be true.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is we're very cautious and conservative in writing this paper. And mostly what we're trying to do here is look at the oddities and the weirdness of the UFO phenomenon, which we can acknowledge is real. And as much as this might be difficult to swallow for some of my academic colleagues and for a large percentage of the population, it's important to start moving the conversation past are UFOs real and past the cockpit videos and the testimonies in front of Congress, and the whistleblowers and a Schumer amendment and so many things that indicate that this should be taken seriously, and move the needle a little farther into the realm of, well, what are they? Who are they? What could they be doing? Why are they here? And that's a big part of why we wrote this paper.
And I know in the paper you talk a little bit about, why do we always see these things around lakes and things like that, or volcanoes? And so the suggestion is, and it's just conjecture, but maybe they came here a long time ago and they've been hiding out there for a while?
Yeah, that's a great question. And sort of the reason I was involved in this study is I've written 3 books over the last 5 years looking at whether they could potentially be future humans coming back through time. And one aspect of this crypto-terrestrial model that we discussed is exactly that they could potentially be extraterrestrial coming from a different planet, and they just set up shop here as it's easier than traveling across the cosmos. Same thing with this extraterrestrial model, that if they were coming from our future, rather than jumping back and forth through time, if they set up shop underground, under the seas, as you're alluding to, possibly on the far side of the moon, it would save a lot of time and energy, and they could conduct whatever it is these activities are that are so important to them here with us at this time, in this place, and without all of the need for constant travel.
I guess, Doctor, the big question would be, is there like a baseline where, when it comes to vitals, where you say this person has to be a human? And if something is different, it's like, this is a little weird. Like, how would you test?
Yeah, that's a great point. And you're right. One of the things that we looked at is, could they be walking amongst us? And I know that, again, conjures up these outlandish notions of some people being aliens, and you're eating breakfast and there's an alien across the cafe. But what we're saying, I know, and we definitely are the first to acknowledge that a lot of this can seem a little crazy. But again, if you think about them in the context of future humans, and that's just one potential possibility here, we would share a lot of physiological characteristics with them, have the opportunity to interbreed. We could hybridize across time, potentially across space. So, and there are, it's important to point out too, the Institute of Noetic Sciences, the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation, all of these studies have shown there are people with extraordinary abilities, like psi abilities, remote viewing, and things like that.
Very interesting stuff.
Stunning report.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's happening. If you think that we're the only beings on the earth, you got to wake up, get your head out of the sand for a fact. There's human beings, and then there are other beings. Some people might call them demons. Some people might call them interdimensional beings. Some people call them aliens. Whatever you want to call them. Yeah, they're around. They're here. For a fact. Let me know what you think, though.
But also, I do think about how many content creators and influencers are actually the CIA. Because they're out here. If you're in the CIA, one of your jobs is to influence society and put out certain information that's going to push society towards a certain way. And right now, how are people consuming their content and information? Influencers, podcasts, content, like on social media. So why would the CIA not have people in position to
Who's running this shit? In case y'all ain't know, this is Wayne Brady. Yeah, the same Wayne Brady from Let's Make a Deal, Dave Chappelle Show. Now, I know some years ago he came out saying he was like pansexual something, I don't know. Yo, but this is crazy. Now, I don't know if this is like a celebration or he's like performing, but anyway, Wayne Brady being 53 years old and, coming out like this, man, it shows you about people in general. I'm with people doing whatever makes them feel comfortable, long as it's, legal, whatever. But to me, if I knew this guy personally and after 53 years, this is how you show up, I would find it hard to trust you, you know what I'm saying? Because, I don't know, you've been living a lie, so what wouldn't you lie about? And another thing, it just lets you know about Hollywood itself and how some of the most talented people have some of the most darkest stories behind them. But through it all, I wish a positive journey for this man, and whatever he chooses, I just find it bizarre at 53 this is the lifestyle you start to choose now. You know what I mean?
Is that you, Wayne? I don't know. I don't recognize you, Wayne.
Don't listen to her. She has no idea what she's talking about, ever.
Hailey Bieber fans are furious after husband Justin's disgusting comments about her pre-pregnancy body resurfaced. This comes as Hailey rides high from back-to-back victories, landing the cover of Vogue and selling her Rhode beauty brand for a staggering $1 billion. Instead of celebrating her wins, Justin reminded fans he once said Hailey would never make Vogue. He then marked her $1 billion Rhode deal with a silent repost, offering no praise. Adding fuel to the fire, a 2020 clip went viral, showing Justin telling Hailey,
"If you weren't so hot, I would have got rid of you a long time ago."
This video resurfaced just as Hailey's Vogue interview made headlines, where she opened up about returning to her pre-pregnancy body after welcoming their son Jack last year. This vulnerable moment is now overshadowed by Justin's remark. Fans were outraged, with some even calling his behavior abuse. Should Justin apologize for his past actions, or is this water under the bridge?
Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books, man. Hey, I appreciate you guys for stopping by and watching another one with me. If you haven't already, smash that like button for me. It helps the channel out, helps the video out. Smash that subscribe button and join the iTrack fam. Stay up to date with the latest, greatest, interesting, and creepy videos from all around the world. And I will definitely catch you on the next one.